Shifting gears now, we have Dr. Jerome Corsi, of course, who wrote the Swift Boat book that brought down John Kerry. He's written many other best-selling books. He was critical of George Bush and wrote books exposing the North American Union, the NAFTA superhighways, and I think was one of the chief focal points of helping expose that globalist plan to take over 84 of our interstate highways and put toll roads on them that really devastated, for the time being, the North American security perimeter that's back under Obama. But he's done the research, so has Philberg and others, and I've got to say it's very credible. And since then, they've gone from laughing at us and running that hoax in Vanity or in, what was it, Esquire, I forget the big publication that ran the hoax, saying that they had retracted their book about where's the birth certificate when they hadn't, to try to hurt the book. That was directly out of the White House, clearly. And now it's come out that his Social Security number was somebody else's and fake in Connecticut and was given to him by somebody in the government, that most of his family was CIA, that Bush, of course, reported, it came out years after, had sent delegates to envoys to Kenya to say, where's his birth certificate? And they said, it's been destroyed and removed. Don't you get it? It wouldn't be there to be destroyed or removed. Barack Hussein Obama, Barry Soetoro, if it had never been there to begin with. And his grandmother says he was born there. But now he's in contempt of court. And Bill Clinton even showed up for court hearings he had to go to for sexual harassment. And so the Attorney General of that state is warning him. Secretary of State warns Obama, mishearing at your own peril. Joining us is Dr. Jerome Corsi. And I'm going from memory here. Wasn't it, what was the big magazine? I can't remember. I can't believe I can't remember.
You're right. It was Esquire.
It was Esquire.
Yes, Esquire.
So how is that lawsuit going?
Lawsuit is pending. The judge has to decide on Esquire's motion to dismiss. But as soon as the judge decides on that motion, the court ought to go forward with the case. So we're waiting. It just takes a long time.
All right, let's continue here, Doctor. Let's start with the basics for new listeners, because I was on a radio show in Florida on 8:10 a.m., one of our affiliates, a Doc Holliday show, and he was bringing up, what's going on with the birth certificate? Crystallize it for me, Alex. Why do we question this? Well, I want to ask you the same question.
Well, first of all, the birth certificate's been called into question from the very beginning. Obama wouldn't show the original birth certificate. He produced a short form certification of live birth. And then on April 27th, just before my book was going to come out, the White House suddenly releases this long-form birth certificate, which Donald Trump was also pressing, saying, where's the birth certificate? And what the White House released turned out to be a forgery. We do not have yet the original documentation released from the vault of the Hawaii Department of Health. I mean, if instead of releasing a PDF file, a computer file, and some Xerox copies, which is what the White House released of the long-form birth certificate on April 27th, the White House released an electronic file. And as soon as you opened the electronic file, you could see that it had layers in it. It was electronically created. Within hours, there were videos on YouTube showing that the file was not a scan of a paper document.
Yeah, but what about the Connecticut Social Security? When the guy's got somebody else's Social Security number, boom!
Well, in fact, we've been reporting. Susan Daniels, a private investigator, did the work on this about 2 years ago, found out the Social Security number Barack Obama is using was issued in Connecticut, a state Barack Obama's never lived in, nor did his family. I mean, even Bill O'Reilly on Fox News was covering for Obama, saying, well, Barack Obama's father lived in Connecticut when he went to Harvard. That's not true. He did not live in Connecticut, Barack Obama Sr. And this was issued, the Social Security number President Obama was using today was issued in the late 1970s. Barack Obama Sr., the father, was gone, deported from the United States in 1964. And Barack Obama Sr. never lived there. The card was originally issued to someone who was born in 1890. So let's say someone in the late 1970s, someone who is advanced in their years, maybe an 80-year-old person, a woman, never worked, suddenly wants a Social Security number to get health benefits, applies and dies. That's the kind of number that's perfect for identity.
All right, stay there. We got you on a bit late because of Skype problems. We're going to come right back, Doc, and I want to get into this contempt of court, what this means, back into the other fake certificate, and the fact that this issue won't go away, despite the fact they announced the whole bin Laden raid right after they put out the fake birth certificate to try to cover all this up. We'll be right back. But Obama, he didn't show up, and now the Attorney General of the state where this happened is getting upset. I want to get into that first, Doc, and get your take on that. But then I want to go back into the latest on the fake birth certificate.
The hearing was in Georgia, and it occurred last week. It was a Georgia administrative law judge who has the authority to decide, on this case, who should or should not be on the Georgia ballot for president. This is a presidential primary ballot first in 2012, this year. And the case was brought by citizens in Georgia, arguing that Obama was not eligible to be president under Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, either because his father was a Kenyan, and that made Barack Obama a dual citizen at birth, not a natural-born citizen, or because the birth certificate was forged and false, and there's no proof Obama was born in Hawaii. That was the argument. Now, the judge sent a subpoena issued by one of the attorneys, Orly Tates, to have President Obama appear at the trial. And President Obama refused. Also, the attorney for Obama, a guy named Jablonski, sent a letter to the Secretary of State of Georgia asking for this hearing to be stopped. Secretary of State refused to stop the hearing, said that the president and his attorney were not appearing at their own risk. In fact, the judge had a motion to dismiss the case from the attorney from the president. The judge refused to accept that motion, said that he did not accept the legal arguments that Obama did not have to have 2 U.S. citizen parents at birth. And when Obama didn't show up, Alex, this is in a sense a default. In other words, the judge was saying, well, he could just issue a default judgment immediately against the president. But I think the lawyers appropriately for the plaintiffs said, we want to present testimony, because now there's a court record for the first time. It's historic, both in Obama's case and for a U.S. sitting president. First time their eligibility has been questioned substantively in a court hearing. And without the president or his attorney presenting arguments, if the judge makes a decision, hopefully that decision will be on substantive grounds now, not just a default, because a substantive determination by the judge that Obama is not eligible to be on the Georgia primary presidential ballot this year would be very hard for the president to overturn on appeal.
This is a big deal, and we're not seeing a lot of corporate prostitute dinosaur media coverage of this. They wanted to just come out with their hoax with the new birth certificate, have bin Laden come out a week later to kind of overshadow that and just move on. But more and more people realize just how illegitimate Obama is.
Well, it shows like yours, Alex, and I think the work we're doing at WND.com, which we've been writing about this for years, my book, Where's the Birth Certificate? There's millions of Americans that know they're being lied to by the White House on Obama's eligibility. It's never been vetted.
And notice he released that the week before your book was going to come out. I mean, they were scared of your book.
That's right. And then the bin Laden, assassination or hit, whatever you want to call it, occurred right afterwards. So you've clearly got a wag the dog effect. And the mainstream media went right along with it. As soon as that April 27th, the White House released the birth certificate, the media said, okay, nothing to see here. Now let's all move on. They didn't question, is this a legitimate document? Why have we waited 3 years to see it? Why can't we see the original documents that remain hidden away in Hawaii, the original birth documents? Why do we have all these contradictory reports? The governor said there was only a line item entry in the index of births in Hawaii on Obama's birth. If the governor looked for this long form birth certificate, why didn't the governor find it? I think increasingly the evidence is mounting that this long form birth certificate is a forged document, which means ultimately a felony was committed in the White House on behalf of Obama, and the mainstream media is covering it up.
Well, I go back to the magazine article coming out and saying you'd retracted, you'd discredited, you'd admitted it was a fraud. Joseph Farah had admitted it was a fraud. and that you were offering retail back, which would bankrupt you. On average, what you probably sell a book for 35% of its retail to these big distributors to be on the end cap, maybe 40%. So that wouldn't just knock you out for the 100,000 or whatever books you'd printed. It would also hurt you in having to pay that money back. That was an attempt to totally economically engage in espionage against you. And that shows how scared they were. If this book was a bunch of bull, and if you hadn't brought down top globalists before, they wouldn't have come after you. We're going to come back and cover that. And remember, the Kenyan government said the records of his birth have been removed, criminally destroyed. And we can show those documents. They're online. I should add that Dr. Corsi's had a distinguished career. After he got his Ph.D. from Harvard University in political science in 1972, I know he's done all sorts of interesting work. What is it for the State Department around the world and other things?
I have State Department top secret clearance through the Agency for International Development in the early 80s. I worked on hostage survival techniques for embassy personnel around the world.
And a lot of other things you can't talk about, obviously. So you're not just some wild guy out here attacking Obama or a crazy guy exposing the North American Union, which was official. I remember the Trans-Texas Highway, part of the NAFTA Highway, official government maps. Ron Paul talked about it 5 years ago, and CNN said he was insane and it didn't exist, and they tried the same stuff with you.
Well, I spent 25 years in financial services. I worked with banks all over the world. I changed careers and became a journalist in 2004 after I co-authored with John O'Neill Unfit for Command, the Swift Boat book against John Kerry. And I've written, I think, 12 or 13, 14 books since 2004, 5 New York Times bestsellers. 2 of them were #1 New York Times bestsellers.
So they were scared of you. And again, that's the real evidence that it's credible, not just using somebody else's Social Security number, not just the government saying his dad basically wasn't his dad, a sham marriage. That's now come out. Not just, I think one of the biggest things is that the Bush administration quietly checked with their government and got the letter back. And they said, well, it's been removed. Well, if something was removed from his birth, there wouldn't be anything to remove if he wasn't born in Kenya.
Well, that's right. I did extensive research in Kenya. I was in Kenya. I was detained in Kenya, deported from Kenya for wanting to do a press conference revealing the ties between Obama and Odinga, who's now the prime minister. Look, the Kenyan government has notified the U.S. government there's reason to believe that there was a systematic destruction of birth records in Kenya so as to remove the evidence of Obama's birth in Kenya. And the documents are missing, not because they never existed, but the birth documents in Kenya are missing because the government removed them from the public files. Alex, the reason the attorney for the White House did not show up in the Georgia hearing is because the White House knew they would lose. If these issues were really adjudicated in a fair court or given a fair hearing to the American people, I think shows like yours would bring the truth forward, and the president can't stand the light of day on these issues. The real documents, the original birth documents in Hawaii that are supposed to exist, are still under seal. They're still secret. You can't see them. I can't see them. We have to believe the Xerox copies handed out by the White House and the electronic file. There was no electronic birth certificate in 1961. It's a complete forgery. It was created on a computer, and it's a lie. And the American people, I think, are catching on to that. Barack Obama has lied about being adopted in Indonesia. It was Barry Soetoro or Barry Soebarka. We have that information now in his mother's passport application. When she removed Barry Soetoro from her passport, put down Soebarka when they were in Indonesia, when Barry Soetoro, what is his real name, was there from ages 6 to 10. We don't have school records. You can't get his applications to Occidental or Columbia or Harvard, or whether he got foreign student loans. Can't get his passport records. This is the most hidden president, that we've ever had in American history. And it's that way for a reason, because Barack Obama cannot stand for American people to know the truth, which is he's not a natural-born citizen. He gave up his citizenship, natural-born citizenship, when he was adopted in Indonesia. His father was Kenyan. which should have disqualified him from the beginning. And he's lied about being born in Hawaii. So the entire public life of Barack Obama is nothing but a lie. And it has to be protected by the mainstream media, because the mainstream media doesn't want the American people to know we've got a political media. The First Amendment is largely dead.